Court does call the case. The people of the state of Michigan versus Santre.
All right, folks, buckle up. This isn't just any courtroom drama. Today we're walking into a preliminary hearing where a man named Santre Scott is facing serious charges. Trust me, the stakes are high. Keep your ears open for legal chess moves and unexpected twists.
Santre.
On behalf of the people. Assistant Hogan under Veteran, I met Mr. Scott who is approaching. I'd say it's daytime separate preliminary examination. The people are prepared to proceed. I will put on the record that I had conveyed an offer prior to the examination that if the defendant were to waive on count or waive as charged, the people would offer a plea to count 1 and dismiss 2 and 3, as well as not file a habitual 4th. In this case, it's my understanding the defendant does not wish to avail himself of that offer.
Is that a correct statement, counsel?
It is correct, Your Honor.
All right.
Did you catch that the prosecution just offered a plea deal, dropped 2 charges, and no habitual offender enhancement? But Scott isn't taking it. That's bold. Either he believes he's walking free, or he's rolling the dice big time.
The people expect to call 3 YPD officers. I'm going to have Officer Plimalas come up first, and I'll have the other 2 officers excuse themselves, which will be Officer Lundy and Officer Cheese.
Okay, very good. Sir, please come forward to be sworn.
We take a seat, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to affirm the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Have a seat. State and spell your first and last name for the record, please.
First name, last name?
Yes.
First name is Zachary, spelled Zachary. Last name is Plymouth, spelled Plymal.
All right, you may inquire.
Thank you. Officer Plymel, how are you currently employed?
Currently a police officer for the city of Ypsilanti Police Department.
How long have you worked for the City of Ypsilanti Police Department?
Since mid-September, so going on 6 months.
Thank you. Were you working as an officer with the City of Ypsilanti back on January the 23rd of this year, 2025?
Yes, sir.
And were you dispatched in the vicinity of the Ypsilanti Transit Center on Pearl Street in the City of Ypsilanti?
Yes, sir.
What was the nature of that dispatch?
Disorderly conduct complaint.
And do you know who had made that?
So here's what's going on. A security guard says someone had a gun at a transit center. But watch closely. What the officer can say in court is limited by hearsay rules. It's a back-and-forth classic legal tug-of-war. What can be said and what must stay behind the scenes?
One of the security guards at the transit center. I'm not sure if the name.
Okay. And based on that information, what did you do?
The security guards informed us that
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor, people are not offering this for the truth and matter asserted, but only to explain what actions this officer took.
Any response to that?
I don't think it's responsive to the question, and I would also say that if it's not offered for the
It's
truth.
being offered for his state of mind, in essence, as to why he did what he did. Objections overruled. You may proceed.
Thank you.
security guards were complaining of a disorderly person in the transit center refusing to leave. And when he finally did leave, was a handgun in his waistband, which is why they called the police. After they showed us a picture of the person that they believed had a handgun, and they stated that he was going southbound on Washington, so he spread out, and that's why we left the transit center.
You're using the term we. Who is we?
Me, Officer Plymouth, Officer Lundy was on scene, and our Sergeant Schrammick were on scene at this time.
Okay. So you received this information from the security guard at the transit center. They indicated this individual had proceeded, I think you said southbound.
Southbound on Washington Street.
Okay. And where did you go then?
We split up, and I went southbound on Washington Street with my patrol guard.
Okay. And you had seen a photograph of the individual that was, I guess, the suspect or the person of interest?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That picture's back.
Thank you. You headed southbound in Washington. What, if anything, did you observe?
I observed a subject walking northbound on Washington Street that matched the description of the person in the photo.
And what did you do?
I put my car in park and I called on the radio, ordered my location, and then I was going to be making contact with the subject, or he took off on foot through the alley.
So he took off on foot?
Yes, sir.
Prior to him taking off on foot, had you got out of your car or yelled stop police or done anything at all?
No, sir, he was already running.
Now, this is crucial. The officer spots someone matching the suspect description, and before he even makes a move, the guy bolts. That reaction alone raises eyebrows. If you're innocent, why sprint before the cops even say a word?
Before I even got out there.
Okay, so you're southbound on Washington. What direction of travel is he now heading?
He's heading westbound through the alleyway there.
Through the alleyway? Okay. And Washington and approximately cross street, what are we?
Michigan Avenue.
Michigan?
Just north of Michigan Avenue.
The observations that you made that this individual was heading into the alleyway, what did you do with that information?
I called over the radio that I had a potential subject running westbound through the alleyway. I wasn't able to locate him as I had lost him, but I said he's approximately heading northwest. If you go back to the command center, you might be able to see him.
Okay. And where did you head next?
Since I didn't have eyes on foot, I returned to my patrol car that was parked on Washington Street.
Okay. And where did you travel next?
Officer Lundy at this time went over the radio saying that he had apprehended him at Speedy's Big Burgers right on, I think it's 15 North Irish Street. And that's where I met up with them.
Okay. And you circled around and made contact with Officer Lundy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At the time you made contact with Officer Lundy, did they have an individual in custody?
Yes, sir.
Do you see that individual in the courtroom here today?
Yes, sir.
Can you identify an article of clothing that he's wearing in court here today?
Big moment here, courtroom identification. This is where the officer links the man they chase the man in the courtroom. Visual ID like this can make or break a case, but it's not foolproof. What would you think if you were on the jury?
And may the record reflect in-court identification of the defendant?
And without objection, the records also reflect.
And the individual that Officer Lundy had in custody, was that the same individual that you saw flee through the alley?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Were you involved at all in the search of his person or anything of that nature?
I did a secondary search when he was moved from Patrol Car 106 to my car, which is Patrol Car 109.
Okay,
And I didn't find any additional contraband and obviously,
thank you. People have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Is it okay if we refer to the individual as Mr. Scott? Okay. So did you observe Mr. Scott commit any crimes that day?
fleeing and eluding as he ran from me.
Fleeing and eluding?
Yes, sir.
So what type of vehicle was he driving?
He was not moving.
Okay. But he was fleeing and eluding?
He was fleeing on foot.
Okay. He's fleeing it. Okay. So that would be more like an R&O? Okay. Did you see him commit any other crimes?
He had possession of a firearm.
He had possession of a firearm? And when did you see him in possession of a firearm?
He was caught on video in the transit, possession of a firearm. And when Officer Lundy did his initial search after getting him in custody, we found a holster with an Officer Cheese found this kind of firearm.
And when did you see this video?
The transit center provided us the picture of him when we first got to the transit center. We initially arrived on the call.
And that's the picture in your police report? Okay, and you'd agree with me there's no firearm visible in that picture, is there?
Disagree, there's a firearm on this.
May I approach the witness with what may become defense exhibit 1?
Sure, but I don't know what I'm going to do with the computer unless we're tagging the whole thing, but go ahead.
Is this the picture we're talking about?
Yes, sir.
And where's the gun?
Right there, left side is waistband.
This.
Oh, yeah.
Not a liquor bottle?
That's not like a bottle. See, it's actually this. The liquor bottle is found in his pants. That's in his waistband.
Okay, so this right here looks like a gun to you.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor,
Want that marked?
I move to admit this as defense exhibit 1.
Well, I need the picture. I need the photo. Well, yeah, I know. I saw it when I was up here.
Can I print it out between witnesses and provide it to the court?
Sure.
So based on that picture, you believed my client was in possession of a gun?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you say that when he was arrested, he also had liquor bottles on him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's admitted as defense 1?
Well, I don't have it yet, but there's not going to be an objection if that's what it is.
No, that's.
All right.
Photograph is.
Once I have the photograph, then I'll admit it.
Okay. I'll provide that to the court. Thank you. No further questions.
I have no redirect.
No redirect? Thank you, sir. You may stand.
People call officer money.
Sir, please come forward and be sworn.
You can take it. Don't read from it.
You take a seat, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to affirm the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Have a seat. State, spell your first and last name for the record.
On B-A-B-O-N, last name on B-O-N-B-O-N.
May inquire.
Thank you. Sir, how are you currently employed?
Police officer, Charlie.
How long have you worked with the Ypsilanti Police Department? Were you working back on January the 23rd of this year, 2025?
Yes,
And were you also involved in a dispatch to the transit center regarding a disorderly person possibly with a firearm?
yes.
Okay, and where did you go based on that information?
Well, I went to the transit center first and then we left. Officer Pymel was there, the male walking Washington Street in Michigan. He then advised the male to get a run through towards the transit center. So I drove my patrol vehicle to Adams Street, got in my patrol vehicle, walked eastbound, and I observed Savion Trey walking.
You observed, I'm sorry, what was that?
He was walking with parking lot.
Okay, in the area that you observed this person, you've identified as Savion Trey, is that individual in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Can you tell me what he's wearing?
Green North Face jacket or Nike jacket.
Your Honor, may the record reflect in-court identification of the defendant?
Without objection, record shall so reflect.
The location that you observed the defendant, was that consistent with the information that had been provided to you by Officer Plymail?
Yes.
Okay. Based on your observations of the defendant walking through the parking lot, what did you do next?
I told him to stop walking. I kind of placed him in handcuffs.
You placed him in handcuffs?
Yes.
Okay. And did you conduct any sort of search of the defendant's person?
Yes.
And where did that occur?
Right in the parking lot of Speedies.
Okay. What, if anything, did you find?
2 bottles of alcohol and a firearm holster.
Firearm holster? Where was the firearm holster?
It was, I believe, on his right hip.
Okay.
Yeah, right hip.
Fair to say you didn't find an actual firearm on his person, however.
Correct.
Okay. Based on that information, are you relaying any of this to other Ypsilanti Police Department officers?
Yes.
Okay. Which officers, if you know?
I just let this back when I found the holster.
Okay. Can you describe, Officer Lundy, what were the conditions on this day?
No, it was snow.
Snowy? Okay. And were you aware if there were, like, was there enough snow that, like, you're leaving footprints, or is it dusting? Can you describe it in any way?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay, that's fair. Did other officers make contact with you once you had the defendant in custody?
Officer Quamo did.
Okay. Did you have any contact with Officer Cheese, or was that subsequent to this?
No, I heard him say that he called the firearm, and I just told him to take pictures of it before he picked it up.
Okay. So you heard that on the radio?
Yes.
Okay. Did you actually see where he found that firearm?
No.
Okay. I have no further questions, Judge. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good morning, officer. You said you found the holster